All right, man, peace. I recently did a video on Karl Anthony Towns, the young up-and-coming center for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I stated point blank that in order for that team to go anywhere, he was going to have to be the unmitigated alpha of that team, but that there were a series of barriers and stumbling blocks that were going to stop him from assuming that mantle. Number one, his mind frame. Number two, the coach, Tom Thibodeau. Number three, Jimmy Butler. And number four, Andrew Wiggins. Now it's being reported that Andrew Wiggins is discontented with his role on the Timberwolves, which doesn't surprise me because he has an exorbitant contract, but he has not lived up to it. And in his mind, he believes that due to how much they're paying him, he should be allowed to have a prominent enough position on the team to make an all-star game just like Karl Anthony Towns did. Really, this is Andrew Wiggins saying that Jimmy Butler's getting in his way, which is also essentially him saying that Tom Thibodeau's getting in his way. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Anyway, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
Few months about Wiggins, about the addition of Jimmy Butler and how that's affected team chemistry. What are your thoughts about how this report will affect this team chemistry or whether it's true?
I'm sure that it's true. I mean, there have been rumblings of this all season. It doesn't surprise me at all. But, hey, guess what? He's by far the third best player on the team. It's not even close.
Well, he's taking the most shots.
He's taking the most shots among the starters. Jamal Crawford, of course, leading in shots per minute because that's what Jamal does. But he's got the most shots. And guess what? When he plays without Towns, the team stinks. When he plays without Butler, the team stinks. So if you want to be the first option, the team better not stink.
Now, this graph is showing you right now who the best player on the Minnesota Timberwolves is. Karl Anthony Towns is taking 2 less shots, but he's making 8% more than Jimmy Butler and 11% more than Andrew Wiggins.
I'm not so sure he's clearly the third option. I think he's maybe a little more talented than Jimmy Butler. I mean, I think he has more of an upside. He's younger. He's more athletic.
Yeah, but if you had to put a team out today, would you want Jimmy Butler?
Well, you want Jimmy Butler based on his resume. I mean, definitely Jimmy brings it on both sides of the ball. But, I mean, they're close. I mean, he could be Jimmy Butler.
How long are you waiting for Andrew Wiggins' potential to reach what you think he could be?
If you want that responsibility, you have to show it. When I came into the league my rookie year, I was the third option. And I was like, okay, I'm fine with that. But I'm going to show y'all that I need to be a 1 or 2 option. And I had to go out there and earn that. It's not given, Andrew. You have to earn that. And your teammates and your coach has to trust you with that.
Well, I was asking our reporter who's often with the Wolves, Nick Friedel, about this. And he sort of made the point of like, hey, it's good if Andrew is showing that he cares. And that is something that sort of, we all know Wiggins has been accused of having a low motor before. And so if this report is true, and we have not at ESPN verified this reporting, then it at least showed that he's engaged and he cares. I do think, though, you have to be careful. This is a team that is in its most successful season in 13 or 14 years. They're going to make the playoffs for the first time in well over a decade. You have to be more invested in team success in knowing if this is the thing that's finally getting you there, if that's what's working. There shouldn't be any whispers. I don't know who whispers to teammates anyway.
He shouldn't be complaining. Like you said, they're going to the playoffs, maybe. But you're getting paid first option money.
Right.
So what's the problem? And you're winning now.
$150 million.
He wants to make an all-star team. He was a number 1 pick, and he has expectations for himself.
Yes.
Well, he has to go out there and be more responsible, and so they can win with him being the number 1 guy.
He is going to speak for himself at some point. We will hear whether he's content or discontent, and of course, what guys, as you were saying in the last segment, what guys say publicly isn't always true, Bob Harris. But obviously, it'll be interesting to see how this develops through the playoffs.
Let me say this in regards to Mr. Andrew Wiggins and the report that he is discontented with his role on the Minnesota Timberwolves. There's a long history of very talented players his age going through the same issues that he's going through right now. I believe he's only 21, maybe 22 years old. He wants to be the alpha on that team. He's not going to be the alpha because he's not the best player. He should be happy with his contract, just like Paul Pierce stated. He is going to be, at best, a partner with Karl Anthony Towns about 4 or 5 years from now. The issue that they're having is that their current alpha, Jimmy Butler, is not good enough to lead them to a championship, and their coach is not a championship-level coach. That is bringing a lot of confusion to their squad. On top of that, in this current NBA, Andrew Wiggins is not good enough to be a prominent player or the best player on a good team. So he's definitely caught in between a rock and a hard place. He's trying to prove that he's worth his contract, and the proof that he's looking for, the validation that he's looking for, is all-star game selections, and he cannot get that unless he puts up big stats, which he's not going to get on the Timberwolves. And as I stated, back in the 90s, there were many teams that broke up because you had young guys on the team that could have been a championship level team in 3 or 4 years, and they gave in and gave up on the prospect of being a member of a great team, as opposed to seeking out their own self-defined legacy of, look at how many all-star games I went to, look at the stats that I put up. I mean, who knows? If Stephon Marbury hadn't been jealous of Kevin Garnett, they may have won a couple of championships in Minnesota, and he might be in the Hall of Fame. Because Steph Marbury had Hall of Fame level talent. He just didn't understand the game on a Hall of Fame level. But there are many teams. Just going back, let me look at the Dallas Mavericks in the 90s with Jim Jackson, Jamal Mashburn, Jason Kidd. A lot of teams. Then they just fell apart because guys were looking for stats. They were looking for some type of notoriety. Fortunately for Minnesota, they have a player in Karl Anthony Towns who seems to have his head well set. He seems to have his head together. He does not seem to be someone who is looking for his own prominence more than the team's success. So we'll see what happens in the future of the Minnesota Timberwolves, but I do believe that there's going to have to be a shakeup there within 2 or 3 seasons if they want to get the most out of their 2 main young guys, that being Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. Jimmy Butler's not going to get any better than he is right now. So they definitely are a win-now team, but I don't think that Andrew Wiggins is ready to win now. I don't think that Karl Anthony Towns is ready to win now. But anyway, peace.